Okay. So you're going to have to click people so they can say they're here.
I will do. You say the name and I'll try to unclick them.
Okay. Representative Adams.
Here.
Bailey.
Here.
Baker.
I don't see Baker, but
Okay, we'll come back to her. Casper.
she had a lot of trouble.
Here.
Cassiari.
Here.
Chase.
Here.
Cologne.
Here.
Crockett Hubbard.
Cutting out the microphone.
She was here before. Do we have any oddball phone numbers that we don't know who they are? Okay, so I'll come back to Crockett Hubbard. Dean Shinbrot. I see that she's here. She was here.
Susan?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey there. Okay. DeSiller Fleming.
Here.
Fitzgerald.
Here.
Flax.
Here.
Fortner.
Here.
Foster.
Here.
Frickman. Okay. Gothier David.
Here.
Gothier Lauren.
Here.
Gustafson.
Here.
Hanscom. Oh, she's not going to be here. Jones.
Here.
Katowski.
Here.
Lambert.
Here.
Bluff. Miller.
Here.
Merritt. Osman.
Here.
Perry. Kristen Powers.
Here.
Sean Powers.
Here.
Richards.
Here.
Rusk.
Here.
Salva.
Here.
Starkey. Stevenson. Thomas.
Here.
Washington. I saw her. I know she's here. Washington's here. Okay. Wells.
Here.
Whitehouse.
Here.
Whitney. And Eben. I count 30. I count 32, but there may be some other people that aren't here yet, like Baker and Crockett Hubbard and Frickman, and Whitney. I didn't get messages from anybody except Representative Hanscom. But you have 32 members. That's more than enough.
Perfectly. Thank you. So we'll have a moment of silence and then you can all unmute and I will ask Representative Cassiari to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's have a moment of silence. Please unmute. Representative Cassiari, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Sure. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of
America,
America,
to the republic
to the republic
for which it stands,
and
one
nation,
nation, under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
liberty,
justice.
justice for all.
Thank you guys. That was interesting. And that was good. Good. Let's see. We can all mute ourselves again. I just want to wish everyone, a happy Passover, a happy Easter, and to endure this this situation we find ourselves in. So I just want to say that to everyone. I hope all of you listening, that you and your families are well, and the people who are watching this on TV, the residents of the town of Groton. I just want to extend that at this time. So the first item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Make a motion to
Second.
approve.
Second.
When you make a motion, could you just say your name? Because I didn't catch it. Sorry.
Sorry, Mello Miller was making the motion.
Okay.
Lambert,
Thank you.
second.
We have a motion to approve the minutes from Representative Mello Miller, which has been seconded by Representative Lambert. Is there any discussion on those minutes? And these, just by the way, are the minutes of our, I think they're of our February meeting.
February 12th.
Sorry. Just trying to, February 12th. So seeing no hands up. All in favor of approving the minutes of our February 12th meeting, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion passes. Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is citizens petitions, and since I'm not sure how that will work, I think we will have to skip that. Is that correct, Betsy?
Right, the only thing
Mr. Burt,
are the emails that people have received.
Okay. All right, so then the next item is communications, and I did receive an email from Representative Hanscom that she would not be able to be here. As I mentioned, I did receive today a letter from John Goodrich, who's in favor of the bridge repair, and a letter from Marcel Dufrans of 6 North Stonington Road, who was in favor of, I believe, $25,000 to fix the bridge, kind of for the moment. I did receive 11 emails from a Thomas Potter regarding a FOIA request he has for the town regarding Balfour Beatty, and queries regarding the proposed development at the William Seeley property. Clerk McCousher, did we receive any other communications?
Those are the ones that I sent to everyone. Except I didn't send all 12 of Mr. Potter's because they really apply to the town RTM. It's really council.
Yeah, no, I just happened to get CC'd on them, I think, for some reason.
Right.
I wanted to also mention at this time that there is another item on our agenda that unfortunately I just learned of on Monday. It has not gone through committee, and it will necessitate a vote to suspend the rules in order to consider it. And that is a grant in the amount of $20,600 from the Children First Groton Collaborative Grant, and which was received by the Board of Ed. And so we can take that up under other items towards the end, if that is the wish of this body. So those are my communications. Do any other members have communications? You can raise your hand, or you can, if you're on the phone, please just interject. Okay. Seeing none, we will have the report of the town manager.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bob Sagami, the Assistant Town Manager, and I'm here to deliver the information for the financial info for April 8th, 2020. The fund balance as of March 31st, 2020 is approximately $23 million, which is 18% of the FYE 2020 general fund adopted budget. The general contingency budget for FYE 2020 was appropriated at $350,000 with a current balance of $271,385, including pending transfers. As of March 31st, 2020, the following transfers have been approved. $8,645 automatic transfer switch for the generator at the Groton Ambulance Building. $69,970 to the City of Groton Highway, partial reimbursement of the reconstruction of Thames Street pending RTM approval for 8/2020. The Capital Reserve Fund balance as of March 31st, 2020 is estimated at $1 million. One supplemental,
Oh, you got it back.
I don't know. One supplemental appropriation has been approved. 116,500 Mystic Education Center needs feasible and energy studies. I'm not sure why I'm getting that background there. I'm the only one here. Health update.
I just muted. I wanted to note for the town clerk that I do see Representative Whitney is here.
Continue.
Please.
Oh, sure. Health update, closed town tennis courts, basketball courts, volleyball courts, playgrounds, hockey rink, and skate park. Mobile screening and testing using Physicians One urgent care. 13 in the town, including 4 in the city, flexible schedules, and many working from home or partially from home with laptops. Patrol encouraging citizens to practice social distancing on the tax issue. Options for Executive Order 7S, defer for 90 days or reduction of interest. New guidelines in 2 days we set for the entire town, including Groton, Long Point, city, and fire districts. And that's it.
Thank you. Sorry, I was muted too. Are there any questions of Mr. Zagami? You can raise your hand or you can unmute yourself. All right, seeing none. Is there any report from Mr. Reiner? Or
Pardon me, Mr. Representative Fortner has her hand up. Sorry.
Oh, okay, thank you. Representative Fortner?
Hi, I couldn't hear exactly what Mr. Zagami said when it was 111 something, I believe, thousand for some type of study for oral school. Was it feasibility?
Oh, sure, I'll repeat that. That was the the Capital Reserve Fund balance as of March 31st, 2020 is estimated at $1 million. One supplemental appropriation has been approved. That's 116,500 Mystic Education Center needs feasibility and engineering studies.
Okay, great, because we just got a letter forwarded to us today from a constituent who complained about how we're spending money on the oral school haphazardly, basically. And I had no idea that we were spending any money. So I'm assuming that we are spending money in order to market and sell the property.
Representative Fortner, we did vote on that, and I believe it was in February. It was a supplemental appropriation, or maybe it was January, actually. There were 3 parts of that.
Okay, I don't have a problem with it. I just wasn't sure that the person who wrote us what he was referring to, and I was wondering if that might have been one of the things. But like I said, I am assuming that, all right, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah, and then the time to report on people who have communicated is under that communication part on the agenda. So then you can reference any communications you've received from your constituents if you like at that point.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Representative
right.
Kowski has her hand up, and then
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Coffee,
Okay. So we'll take Representative Katowski, I don't see that, but then we'll take Representative Lambert after that.
You have to unmute her. She's in actually the attendees.
Thank you. So I need to send Betsy a message before, so I can be unmuted. Is that how that works?
I guess so. I didn't see you, sorry.
Okay.
I'm not able to see the, I mean, I can see the attendees, but I'm having enough trouble just keeping track of this.
I know. I'm on the phone too, so it's hard. Okay. My question just got answered about the Mystic Oral School. Thank you.
All right. Representative Lambert?
I no longer have a question. Thank you.
Representative Gauthier, Lauren?
Hi, I was just wondering if we'd be able to have whatever Mr. Zagami's looking at screen shared. It's just easier to visualize the numbers that way for us.
You know, I think at this point, probably not. But certainly, usually these things are in the town manager's report. Mr. Burt, I heard you were on, or Mr. Zagami, are you going to be emailing us that report, or perhaps it was already emailed and I missed it?
I'm not sure about that, but if you want, I could send it over right now if you give me a second to get to a machine where I can get this.
Yeah. If you send that to the town clerk, she can distribute it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll take care of that.
I agree. Easier to see things, but I think screen sharing may be above our pay grade here. I could try it. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Zagami? All right. Seeing none, do we have a report for the superintendent of schools, or is he just going to come on later?
He is in the attendees list. Hold on one moment. Or I thought I saw him, or maybe hold it. Susan Austin is here. Susan, did you want to give a report? She should be able to unmute.
I'm sorry, I missed what you said.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Yes. This is Susan Austin. I'm here really to help support the Groton Children First School Readiness Council. It's been a wonderful collaborative work to receive this $20,000 to help spearhead this work in early childhood and the collaboration. So I'll be here to speak about that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Austin. I did see that Representative Foster had his hand raised. Is that, oh no, is that correct? Chase, Representative Chase, sorry. I converted that. Representative Chase, would you like to speak? You can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Did we skip economic development for a reason on the agenda?
I asked if there was anyone speaking, and I didn't hear any. I didn't hear if Mr. Reiner was there. Sorry, Mr. Zagami, is anyone here?
Attending.
Okay, so I guess there's no report today.
Excuse me, Madam Moderator. We have 35 members.
Thank you. I'm asking again if everyone can keep themselves muted because there's quite a bit of background noise. So the next item on our agenda, if there's no more questions for Mr. Zagami or Ms. Austin, which we'll come back to, is the liaison report. The first thing I'd like to note is that let's keep us all muted for now. There's like someone's TV on. All right. So the liaison reports, the first thing I'd like to note is that Representative Foster, who had been our town council liaison, is... Can
anyone hear Sima?
Yes, we can hear you. Is that Representative Wells?
That was actually Stevenson.
Who?
Representative Stevenson.
All right, can you, everyone please mute? We're in the middle of a meeting. It's nice to know you're here, but we're never going to get through this if you talk just randomly. So try to wait for the next pause. And my brain doesn't actually. So as I was saying, Representative Foster is stepping down as the Town Council liaison. So we are looking for a volunteer for that position. Representative Foster, did you have a liaison report for the Town Council? Is he here?
I am. Unfortunately, I was unable to put a liaison report together for this meeting.
Thank you, that's fine. Representative Rusk, do you have a report for economic development?
I do. I attended the Economic Development Commission meeting on March 5th, 2020. Obviously, a lot of things have changed since then, but at the time, they were planning a plastics business forum on March 30th. That has been, I'm assuming, postponed. They are also looking at doing some future forums, and they're considering different ideas to work with businesses in the area. On February 27th, there was an economic development strategies meeting in 4 different locations. I think a lot of people were able to attend that. They were fairly well attended. There's more information about that at the Explore More Groton website. And the April 2nd, 2020 meeting was canceled. That's about it in a nutshell.
Moderator, are you there? Moderator, are you there?
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Representative Fitzgerald, do you have a report for the Board of Ed? You're unmuted.
Yes, I do. Okay, there have been 2 meetings since my last minutes. The first one was March 31st. The second was April 6th. On March 31st, it was a remote committee of the whole meeting. They gave an update on the remote learning. As there have been 2,500 Chromebooks and iPads have been delivered, with about 25 per day going out of the central office that still need to be picked up. There's a 24-hour tech service, and the school librarians are also available to help. Most students are all set with the internet. Those students that don't have internet are being provided with mobile hotspots, and those have been ordered. The Schoology program did crash due to a nationwide overload, but on a whole, the program has gotten off to a good start. The district is working on compacting the curriculum. What they're planning on focusing on is what students need to know, what students know, streamlining the lessons, making sure all students and teachers have continued access, and the staff will be monitoring for participation rather than attendance. Human Resources is making plans for staff illnesses. Excuse me. The SBAC, the NGSS, AP, SAT, and AP testing has all been canceled for this year. The food service program now has 3 sites running 3 days a week. Those are at Mary Morrison, Westside Middle School, and Groton Public Library. They're distributing about 1,200 meals per day. That includes breakfast and lunch. Friday, distributing weekend meals is going as well. And they will be distributing on Good Friday. And the food service program is cost neutral. As far as the STA bus contract, it's expected that they will be renegotiating that contract for this year. And they don't foresee any savings except diesel fuel, but that could be because that has to be because diesel fuel has been pre-bought. So there's a liquidation fee that might apply. Discussion was had on the 2020 budget cost avoidance. Some of those costs are for substitute teachers, snow removal, stipends in sports, professional development, and heating oil. Again, that will, you need to pay a liquidation fee if we change that. Early retirement accounts or early retirement payments will be paid out before the end of the year. They're normally paid out in August. They'll be paying them out before the end of the fiscal year. The health insurance account, they're looking to make a smaller payment each month. And they're going to pre-purchase supplies off the bid list for FYE 2021. There was discussion on the changes to the CIPs. 5B, which is district storage, Barnum, Cutler, West Side. It was increased to 155,000 due to the cost increase since the CIP was written. 5C, Northeast Academy Air Quality, that was lowered to 84,000 because GPS was able to do some cleaning. So that came down from 104,000. 5D was the video surveillance system. 35,000 of that will come from the capital reserve. 155 will come from LoCIP funds. And then the 5F, which is school kitchen dishwashing equipment, the 120,000 request has not been changed. Then they talked about hiring a consultant for redistricting. And the consultant they're looking at is Malone and McBroom because they have a history with GPS. And the estimated cost will be $15,000. On April 6th, they had a remote special Board of Ed meeting. The student representative, Addie Clark, reported that students have some concerns about graduation and senior activities. Schoology has been crashing, but that seems to be evening out. Grading, how students can access guidance and therapists, et cetera, based at the school. So there's been a Google Voice system set up for that. They presented SLAM architects, or the architects for the Groton Middle School, presented their technology plan. So that is now on paper and ready to be submitted to the state. It includes, but it's not limited to, Ethernet switches, telephones, whiteboards, octave panels, etc. The plan is $76,905 over the $125,000 budget, but that is going to be taken out of the built-in contingency for the Groton Middle School program. And then once the state approves the plan, it will go out to bid. Then the COVID-19 update included information on distance learning, and it's going well except for a few hiccups. Schoology again seems to be stabilizing. They're working with Zoom, or they're working on getting Zoom parental authorization for students so they can participate in small groups or classrooms online. The state is going to make a decision, I just read this week, on if they're going to extend the school year. We'll see what happens with that. Staff is getting professional development on technology uses, and they're focusing on balance, reasonable expectations, and supplemental learning, along with going slow so they grow. The on-site on Groton Middle School, the workers they're taking precautions. They're having to fill out a form when they come to the site, and if there's any red flags, they're not allowed to come on site. Again, they talked about the bus contract and how that is going to work with the new Cures Act and applicable state statutes. Again, the meal distribution was just under 2,000. Friday's a little more due to food pickups for the weekend. And again, they'll distribute on Good Friday. Groton Middle School update, they are limiting tours. The painting and finishing work is being done, and some deliveries are being interrupted. So far, it doesn't seem like any of those deliveries are going to set anything back greatly, but they are being interrupted. And the following motions were read and approved. The Groton Middle School Technology Plan, Treehouse Director and Assistant Director salaries being paid by GPS. Those will be paid for the fourth quarter. It'll come out of the Board of Ed budget, not the enterprise fund. The staff is still being paid out of the enterprise fund. And the next year, the director and assistant director will go back to being paid out of the enterprise fund. And they also approved the elementary school redistricting plan to hire Malone and McBroom. And that's it. So I have to make a motion to accept the minutes?
No, that's a liaison report. You don't need to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Moderator Eben, Representative Katowski had a question for Representative Fitzgerald.
Representative Katowski?
Thank you. Representative Fitzgerald, that was an excellent report. I mean, thank you very much. I just have some questions. Is there any more detail regarding the redistricting? I know it's going out to a consultant, but I don't have any kids in the school system, so I'm not exactly sure. I just thought it was kind of a no-brainer. All the kids that go to some of the elementary schools go to certain middle schools. Can you give a little more information about that?
There wasn't any more information during the meeting, but I can say from experience being on the board and the conversations that were there, that one of the reasons that McMillan and McBroom is being hired is because they have a history with Groton and they've done demographics and redistricting suggestions and things to the town before. One of the middle schools is a, can't remember the name of it. But they need to redistrict this so that we don't tip that balance with racial balancing. It's not as easy as just, you know, going from elementary to middle to high. We have to redistrict to meet those state statutes.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, everybody can hear you.
That's perfect. Good. Thank you, Representative Fitzgerald. That was a really wonderful summary. Representative Flax, do you have anything from the Trails Advisory Committee?
I do not.
Thank you. Representative Chase, do you have anything from the Town Council RTM Board of Ed Liaison?
I do.
All right, could you give us your report, please?
So the meeting was held on March 4th, and from central office was Susan Austin. The Board of Ed was Lee White. Town Council was Rachel Franco. City Council was Reginald Stanford. And from the RTM, the attendants were Kathy Chase, Bruce Flax, and Lauren Gauthier. The call to order was by Lee White, calling the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. A review of the October 2nd, 2019 meeting minutes. The Board of Education report is the FY21 budget will increase 0.6%. Schedule for middle school is on time and under budget. Numbers are closely being monitored as there are children returning to the district from out of district magnet schools. Academic scores are increasing. Still looking for a home for the robotics club. Pleasant Valley will be released to the town from the Board of Education on July 1st. Released to the town from the Board of Ed on July 1st. The Alliance District looking at attendance issues, college readiness, and physical fitness. The Town Council report is the grand list has decreased 0.4%. New housing, Mystic Oral School, 750 units, William Seeley, 280 units, and Route 184, 300 units. Changes made to the golf rules and rates, changed part-time seasonal wages, appropriated funds to repair a retaining wall in the city of Groton. There was discussion regarding the Mystic Coastal Access Plan. Updates from the Shellfish Commission were presented to the Town Council. There were 2 new task forces developed, athletic fields and short-term rentals. The City Council report is residents are upset about a dirt pile and noise coming from Electric Boat. The city will be meeting with Electric Boat regarding this matter. The request will be for them to create most of their noise during the daytime. The retaining wall on Fame Street is being repaired already. The city highway and police just sent budgets to the town manager. Coast Guard cadets are involved in a study for resiliency for the waterway. The city is working with the Town Council on the short-term rental issue. The RTM report, the new plastics ordinance came to the RTM to either reject it or accept it as it is. It was accepted after a lot of discussion. There was no new business discussed and the meeting was adjourned at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you. Representative Chase, do you have any more information on that resiliency study that the Coast Guard is doing?
I have not heard anything on that.
Okay. Well, thank you. That was very useful. Representative Wells, do you have a golf advisory committee report?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Well, for once, I've written the thing out before I got here. We are pleased to report that at the end of March, our fiscal year-to-date revenue was 5% greater than last year and 40% greater than the previous four-year average. And of the 21 condemned trees along the 11th fairway, 13 are now down, with the remainder to be removed in the not-too-distant future. Our course architect has recommended appropriate replacement species. So far, 90% of golfers appear to be strictly adhering to the new coronavirus protocol, with only 2 staff on the course and one of those confined to the clubhouse. We hope to bring course rangers earlier in the season to roam about the 170 acres to remind the remainders to play by the protocol. There continue to be adjustments to the protocol. For instance, 1 person per cart rule has been dropped in favor of a ban on all cart rentals. Seems one player would rent, and when they were out of sight, the others would hop in the cart. Perhaps understandable, as they may well travel to the course in the same car. They are now considering a medical exemption for people who might not have trouble walking the course. And of course, that would include the spouse or other member of the household could ride along. They plan to delay new season passes by 1 month, in effect extending the current season passes by 1 month. New passes would cover a full year and thus expire a month later than normally. Many of our pass holders winter in places like Arizona and Florida, and they, in fact, defer plans to return due to travel and quarantine requirements. And they just stay put. The Facebook marketing efforts targets golfers within a 30-mile radius. Primarily, ads announce that Shenny is open and explain our coronavirus protocol. Others promote the benefits of golf as exercise and an attempt to dispel the notion that it's a game for swells, that you have to get dressed up to play. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Wells. That was great. So that ends our liaison reports. And now we go into our committee reports. I believe Finance did meet, and maybe twice, in fact. Chair Washington, do you have any minutes to read? Or are you passing those minutes to Representative Flax?
Can you hear me?
You're
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm passing the minutes to Representative Flax.
Okay.
I mean, he wrote the minutes, so I think it's only fair that he reads them.
I thought, did that meeting though, did you have a meeting in February that you wanted to report on?
We had a meeting, I forget the date that we had the meeting, but I joined late, so Representative Flax actually took the minutes.
Yes, that was the March meeting, but I was wondering if there was a meeting in February where you discussed the fourth quarter, you know, that you had a wrap up of the finance with Ms. Landry.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I don't have those minutes with me.
Okay, well, please submit them and we can do them next time, I guess.
I did submit them.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I submitted them already.
Okay. Well, I guess we can't approve them unless they're read. So Representative Flax, would you like to read the March Finance Committee meeting minutes, please?
Sure. Committee met on March 19th in room 1, Town Hall Annex and via Zoom. The meeting was called to order at 6:10. Present in room 1 were Town Manager John Burt, Finance Director Cindy Landry, and RTM member me. Attending via Zoom were Finance Committee members Chase Foster, Clarence Casper, Wilmer Lambert, and Sean Powers. Chairwoman Washington joined the meeting at 6:17. Also in attendance were RTM member Representative Kathy Chase, RTM moderator Sim Evans, and City Mayor Keith Hedrick. There was no old business. The first item was 2020-68 Thames Street Wall Reconstruction Project. This is a request from the city for a contingency transfer of $69,969.50 from the town to repair a failed embankment wall on Thames Street in the vicinity of Electric Boat between Eastern Point Road and Ledyard Avenue. City Mayor Hedrick detailed the nature of the repair, the total cost, and details of where the funds would come from. The total cost of the project is estimated to be $316,481.50. The city would use $193,512 from leftover FYE 2019 highway funds, $53,000 as negotiated by Mayor Hedrick with Electric Boat, and the balance $69,969.50 from the town of Groton. Representative Lambert inquired about potential overages and where the funds would come from. Mayor Hedrick noted the project was well underway and on track to be at or under budget. Representative Flax asked about a built-in contingency. Mayor Hedrick explained there was a 10% contingency built in, and if the project came in lower than anticipated, the town would be responsible for less money. A motion was made by Representative Washington and seconded by Representative Casper to approve a contingency transfer from the town for $69,969.50. The motion passed 6-0. The second item was 2020-168 refunding of general obligation bonds, lots A and B. Finance Director Cindy Landry explained this is just like refinancing your mortgage when interest rates go down. There are two sets of bonds, lot A, general obligation bonds, and lot B, sewer operating bonds. Anticipate a $1.4 million savings and $100,000 savings for the sewer bonds. Finance Director Cindy Landry detailed that the refunding of these bonds will save the town $1.524 million through 2034 with a net savings after expense of $1.427320. Representative Foster inquired about approving this refinancing, and looking at the state statutes, it appeared that only the council was needed to approve this. Town Manager John Burt pointed out that theoretically that was correct, but with the advice of the bond council and an abundance of prudence, they wanted to get both the council and RTM approval. Representative Washington was asking why we are only refinancing half of the town debt, and Town Manager Burt pointed out these are the only ones eligible. A motion was made by Representative Foster to authorize the issuance of refunding bonds and seconded by Representative Washington. The motion passed 6-0. The meeting adjourned at 6:32 p.m. That's it.
Thank you, Representative Flax. We have minutes on the floor. Is there a motion to accept?
This is Foster. I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion from Representative Foster and a second from Representative Jones to accept the minutes of the Finance Committee meeting from March 3rd, I believe. No, it wasn't March 3rd. Sorry. Is there any discussion on those minutes? I had one point. My name has no S at the end. My last name is just Eben. Representative Chase?
No, I have a question for after the vote.
Okay. Representative Chase, can you raise your hand again then after the vote? Any other discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of the Finance Committee from March 2020. All in favor, please say aye. You can unmute yourself.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, that motion carries. So we have the minutes. Representative Flack, would you like to put a motion? Yes?
I found the minutes for the Finance Committee meeting, February 24th.
Well, let's do those after we do these, okay? Thank you. Representative Flax, would you like to put a motion on the floor?
I would, no, unless I need to.
You do.
I don't know what motion I need to put in the form, sorry.
You have to do those two items that you had in your committee, the rebonding.
Yeah. Make a motion for 2020-68-2 FYE 2020 contingency transfer to the city of Groton in the amount of $69,969.50.
Gotcha. That's what I'd like to move.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor by Representative Flax. Who was the second? I'm sorry, I couldn't quite tell.
Bailey.
Representative Bailey seconded. Thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to transfer $69,969.50 to the city of Groton for the repair of a portion of Thames Street. Is there any discussion on this? Representative Chase, did you have any discussion items?
No, thank you.
No? Anyone else? Is that Mayor Hedrick here, or I don't?
Mayor Hedrick is in attendance. He's muted right now.
That's fine. I don't think we need him unless there's some questions. I don't see any. If you would like to unmute yourself or raise your hand, either way. All right, seeing none, we do have a motion on the floor to transfer $69,969.50 to the city of Groton for the repair of a portion of Thames Street. All in favor of that vote, please say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye. Apparently you're not unmuted, everybody.
Everyone can unmute themselves.
People on the phones can't.
Yeah,
no,
I
they're
do.
not muted. Yeah, I've been muting and unmuting myself, Betsy, and I'm on a phone.
Okay.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you. Can you put the next motion on the floor, Representative Flax, please?
Yes, I move 2020-168, the refunding of general obligation bonds lots A and B.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor made by Representative Flax, seconded by Representative Bailey for the 2020-168, the refunding of general obligation bonds lots A and B. Is there any discussion on this? I see Representative Foster has his hand up.
Yes,
I've unmuted you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Madam Moderator. I actually have a question for the Finance Director. She's on the phone. We got an update on the savings, and it looks like we have lost $1 million in savings. I just would like to verify that over the lost time.
That is correct. This is Cindy Landry, the Finance Director. Yesterday, we had gotten an update from Bill Lindsay, who is our financial advisor through Hilltop Securities. And as you're all aware of what's going on in the market, while their saving is there, we have had a reduction in the amount of the savings. So what was read in the minutes was the 1.4 and the $100,000 for the sewer operating. It's now about $565,000 for the general fund and approximately $89,000 for the sewer bonds, the sewer operating fund. But the market's been very volatile. It's been up and down and up and down. So we're having to keep a close eye on that. And I also do have Bill Lindsay is on the line if there's any specific questions for anyone that anyone has for him.
Did you have follow-up, Representative Foster?
I just would like to state that the hyper-cautious manner that the bond counsel recommended has caused this to happen. That's it. Thank you.
Any other comments on this or discussion or questions? All right, Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor
Sorry
for,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Roseanne Kukowski still can't unmute, so I don't know what the problem is.
Representative Kukowski, do you have would you like to speak?
No, but I would like to vote. So every time we vote, I would like to be unmuted. Thank you.
Okay, I don't even see where you are, unfortunately.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's in the.
No, I mean, I don't see you on the list of participants, so.
Well, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that.
Okay, I'll
this is
unmute
John.
everyone. And
Okay, you're gonna do it. I'll make sure she's unmuted too.
okay.
Thank you.
All right. We have a motion on the floor for 2020-168, refunding general obligation bonds, lots A and B. All in favor, please say aye, and I'm going to unmute you all. So you're all unmuted. Please say aye if you're in favor.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Please say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, you can remute yourselves if you want. Representative Washington, would you like to read the minutes from your February meeting?
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Okay. The Finance Committee meeting was called to order at 6 p.m. on Monday, February 24, 2020 by Chairperson Beverly Washington. The meeting was held at the Groton Senior Center in Classroom A. In attendance were committee members, Representatives Bruce Flax, Roseanne Katowski, Wilma Lambert, Chase Foster, and Sean Powers. Absent was Representative Clarence Casper. Also in attendance were Finance Director Cindy Landry and Representative Kathy Chase. There was no unfinished business. New business 4.1 2020-123, end of year 2019 reconciliation for discussion. Finance Director Cindy Landry distributed 2 handouts. One was the comparison by function FYE 2019 adjusted budget to FYE 2019 budget to actual, and 2, FYE 2019 adopted budget general fund revenue detail. Finance Director Cindy Landry reviewed with the committee the comparison by function handout first. We reviewed the different area of services for the town looking at adjusted budget and actual, then whether the area of service was over or under budget. For example, general government's adjusted budget was $855,647. They spent $729,517 and returned $126,130 to the general fund. All the area of services on the handout came in under budget, meaning they returned money to the town, which goes back to the general fund. Town departments returned a total of $844,510. These departments are public safety, public works, planning and development, human resources, community services, and general government. One of the reasons for departments returning funds is positions not being filled. There was non-departmental return of $36,684, making the total town operations return $881,195. Also, education services returned $39,460. Capital and debt services, $2,502. Outside agencies, $27,246. Subdivisions, $9,758, and contingency, $248,573. The total amount returned to the general fund for FYE 2019 was $1,208,734. There was a discussion about subdivisions returning unused funds. Finance Director Landry reviewed FYE 2019 adopted budget general fund detailed revenue handout with the committee. The handout listed revenue sources with 4 headliners: adopted budget, actual budget, dollar variance budget versus actual, and percent variance budget versus actual. On this handout, over is good, meaning the town received more money than anticipated. Total property taxes over $823,686. Total licenses and permits over $188,638. Total revenue from investments over $551,511. Total state grants in aid education over $97,241. Total state grants in aid dash general government over $58,055. Total federal grants in aid over $2,217,203. Total charges for current services over $549,254. Total schools dash library dash recreation over $49,611, and total other revenue over $137,318. Total revenue for FYE 2019 was $4,672,517. Total federal grants in aid education is impact aid. 1.4 million of that amount is retro for year 2017-2018. We need to write to our federal legislators for more impact aid. It would also be nice to receive impact aid the year we are supposed to receive the funds. Tuition from other towns increased.
3-hour meeting and we are last.
The town budget, $7,000 for conveyance tax, but received $1.2 million. A question was asked, what is other revenue? Director Landry responded that other revenue is passport fees, landfill fees, and library fees as examples. Question was asked, what was the increased revenue for fee increases at landfill? Director Landry said she did not have that information, but would find out and let us know. And I think we're still waiting for that information. A question was asked about taking money from fund balance instead of contingency. Director Landry replied that taking money from fund balance increases the budget as opposed to taking money from contingency, which does not increase the budget. Fund balance minimum should be between 11% and 15%. At the end of year 2019, it was 18%. The 2020 census is very important to the town of Groton. The information collected from the citizens of Groton will determine how much aid the town receives from the federal government. Consideration of committee referral items as per referral list. The committee would like to refer unused funds from some subdivision, meaning Groton Long Point and City of Groton. The subdivisions have a history of not returning unused funds as other departments do. The committee feels that it is important that subdivisions return unused funds. Motion to adjourn at 7:15, made by Representative Washington, seconded by Representative Powers, passed by all, meeting adjourned at 7:15.
Thank you, Representative Washington. That was very thorough. We have minutes. Can you make a motion to accept, or can someone?
I make a motion to accept.
Second,
Who is that?
Foster.
Karen.
Representative
Representative
Adams.
Yes.
Representative Adams made a motion to accept the February minutes of the Finance Committee, and that was seconded by Representative Foster. Is there any discussion on that? No, seeing no discussion or questions, we have the motion on the floor to accept the minutes of the February Finance Committee meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, even Roseanne was unmuted, so any abstentions?
Thank you.
Seeing none, it seems like that motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Sima?
Thank you, Representative Washington.
You're welcome.
Sima, this is John Burke. Can I say something real quick?
Hi. Yes, please.
I just wanted to mention that in terms of the bond refinance timing, that there are certain posting requirements and a lot of paperwork coming through the RTM did not affect anything on the timeline. It was going the same dates no matter what. It was fast tracked. So there was no effect on the amount we're getting. That's all just market driven.
Excuse me, do we still have to read the resolution?
I believe so. Cindy, is that your understanding?
Yes, I believe that they do have to be read. I'm not sure if they need to be read in their entirety. I think that the town clerk has some thoughts about they could be as printed, but they were read in their entirety at the cow.
Right.
Well, in the past, the RTM has always read the resolution title and then the resolve, but the resolve is huge.
Yes, the resolve is it's very wordy.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I don't know of any rule that requires the reading of it. Do you, Cindy? I mean, I've never seen
I've never
that.
heard of it either.
No, I've never heard of it, and I wasn't there the last time we did the refunding, so I can't speak for what happened at the last RTM.
Yeah, we never have read the entire thing. We've just read the resolution authorizing, X amount of dollars and the resolve that the RTM approves.
Okay. I think if that's what's been done in the past, that probably would be sufficient.
Excellent.
So there are the two resolutions.
Correct. I think Representative Flax has those.
Hi. Sorry, I guess I was muted in a different place than last time. Cindy, do we need to read that resolution again? It sounds like we're fine. We can move on to Public Works. Is that correct?
I think the resolution needs to be read, and I think the town clerk has said that the resolve, which is the more narrative part of it, does not need to be read. But the resolution should be read and adopted by the RTM.
And probably a roll call vote, right, Cindy?
Yes.
Is this the refunding of the general obligation bonds, lots A and B?
Yes, there are two resolutions.
Okay. We already voted on that, but we can vote again. Representative Flax, I don't actually have a copy of it. I didn't receive that, I guess.
I do have a copy. And if you're asking to be read just a resolution and not the resolved, I can read that.
Thank you.
resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding 22 million refunding bonds for payment of the outstanding principal of and interest in any call premium on any portion of the town of 16,305,000 general obligation refunding bonds, issue of 2011 Lot A, 19,060,000 general obligation refunding bond, issue of 2013 Lot A, and 8,945,000 general obligation bonds, issue of 2014 Lot A, and costs related thereto. I so move.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor, and I'm not going to repeat that, to refund general obligation bonds lots A and B. It's been made by Representative Flax, and it's been seconded by Representative Bailey. Is there any discussion on this? You can unmute yourself or raise your hand.
It has to be a roll call vote, is what Director Landry said?
Representative
roll call
Richards?
vote, yeah.
Representative Richards?
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm just not clear why we're voting on this again, if it's the same issue we just voted on from the March meeting, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but could you please explain?
I don't understand either, Mr. Burt or Ms. Landry.
Well, I don't think that when you voted before, the individual resolutions were read.
Yes, they were.
Well, and I believe a roll call vote is required, so we need to do it again anyways.
Okay, both of them, the same street one too?
Yep. Well, not same street,
Okay.
no. Just the two bond resolutions.
Okay. All right, we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Is there any other discussion on this? All right, seeing none, we're going to go to a roll call vote for this 2020-168, the refunding of the general obligation bonds lots A and B. Town Clerk, could you please lead us in a roll call vote?
Could you unmute everyone, please? Yeah.
I will.
Oh, great, thank you.
And everyone,
But somebody's
hang
got
on.
Thank you.
all the TVs.
Everyone can unmute themselves, okay? Because I try to do it, but some of them looks like.
But if you're on the phone, you can't. That's the problem.
Okay, Representative Adams.
Yes.
Representative Bailey.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Cassiari.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Cologne.
Yes.
Dean Shinbrot. Dean Shinbrot. Susan, are you there? Okay, I'll come back.
It doesn't look like she's there. I don't see her.
Priscilla Fleming?
Yes.
Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Flax?
Yes.
Fortner?
Yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Frickman? Frickman? Okay, Frickman. All right.
I don't see him either.
David and Lauren Gauthier.
Yes.
Yes.
Gustafson?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Katowski?
Yes.
Lambert?
Yes.
Mello Miller? Mello Miller?
Yes, and Rep. Frickman has his hand up in attendees, so maybe
Okay. Okay.
You forgot Luck.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were there. Luck?
Aye.
Frickman?
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, I'll just go back to Frickman. Okay, so Osman?
Yes.
One. Powers,
Yes.
Powers Strawn,
Yes.
Richards,
Yes.
Rusk,
Yes.
Salva,
Yes.
Stevenson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Wells,
Yes.
Whitehouse,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Eben,
Yes.
and I'm missing one more.
Dean Shinbrot,
Shinbrot,
Casper,
yep. Casper,
Yes.
yep.
Yes.
Shinbrot, Dean Shinbrot. Boy, she's just not there, is she? She was there.
Did you get Starkey?
Nope. Starkey?
Yes.
Okay, now we have 36.
Well, Merritt.
Merit. See, all these people popping in. 37. Okay, 37.
thank you. That motion, carries. 37 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 abstentions.
Emma, this is John. Just
Yes.
to point out, I did just talk to our bond counsel. She said we're doing it correctly. If there would have been an objection to not reading it, then you would have had to done a motion to waive the reading. But since no one objected, we're fine.
Okay. Thank you. So that brings,
The second one now.
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
I just got booted off the computer.
If Representative Flax could read the second one, that would be great. As long as no one has a problem with not reading the entire thing.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you there? Moderator?
Representative Flax is muted.
Oh boy.
I think the moderator has disappeared as far as her voice,
Okay, maybe.
but I'm not sure.
Mr. Burt, can you unmute everybody, please?
Oh, 1 second.
Thank you.
It's not working. Oh, there it goes.
Moderator.
Somewhere.
Moderator. The moderator, you have,
Oh, hold on a second.
okay.
The moderator's trying to get back in. Let me. Oh,
Hello?
okay.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
I don't know why my audio is completely gone on this computer.
Well, click the-
I don't know what to do. No, I'm clueless. Hi, John.
Yes.
I had to reconnect. I got booted off the call for some reason.
Okay. I think you need to mute people. It's not letting me, maybe because you were the one that muted them.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I think your computer is interrupting. So can you have Representative Flax read the second resolution?
I am looking it up. Hold on, I'm sorry. Resolution authorizing the issuance of not exceeding 2 million refunding bonds for payment of the outstanding principal of and interest in any call premium on any portion of the town of Groton's $2,710,000 general obligation sewer refunding bonds, issue of 2011 Lot B and costs related thereto. I so move.
Second.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll go through the roll call again for the vote.
Lots of people still muted though, so let's make sure everybody's unmuted.
I don't see you.
There are only a few people left muted.
There are only a few.
I muted everyone, John. I have control over my mute, and I'll just unmute when I'm going to speak.
Got it.
Okay. You ready for the vote then?
Yes, ready for the vote.
Bailey has a question.
Representative Bailey?
Thank you very much. We heard the second, but I don't think the representative was recognized by name.
I wasn't actually.
I heard Representative Flax made a motion and Representative Bailey seconded. And so
No, I did, Adams.
So did Adams. You both did.
Are we going to do a roll call vote?
So you have to tell me which one you're going to choose for the second.
You know what? I think that Roseanne has a lot of feedback. Roseanne, I'm going to mute you for a second because I can't hear hardly anything. There we go. I'll unmute you to vote, Representative Katowski. At this point, we have a motion on the floor by Representative Flax, and we have that's been seconded by Representative Adams. That's for 2020-68-2 FYE 2020 contingency transfer to the city of Groton in the amount of $69,969.50. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, I can unmute you all and we'll have a roll call vote. Is that correct, Town Clerk McCousher?
Yes. Adams?
All right, I'm on.
Adams?
Yes.
Bailey?
Yes.
Casper?
Yes.
Cassieri?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Malone?
Yes.
Greenfield? Not there. DeSilla Fleming?
Yes.
Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Flax?
Yes.
Fortner?
Yes.
Foster?
Yes.
Brickman?
Yes.
Gothier David?
Yes.
Gothier Lauren?
Yes.
Gustafson?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Katowski?
Yes.
Lambert?
Yes.
Luck?
Aye.
Mello Miller?
Yes.
Merritt?
Yes.
Oops. Ooh. Osman?
Yes.
Powers, Kristen?
Yes.
Powers, Sean?
Yes.
Richards?
Yes.
Rusk?
Yes.
Silva? Salva?
Yes.
Starkley?
Yes.
Stevenson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Washington?
Yes.
Wells?
Yes.
Whitehouse?
Yes.
Whitney?
Yeah.
Eben?
Yes.
Okay, we're still missing Dean Shinbrot, but I don't know what happened to her. Because we had 36 last time, now we have 35. That's what you get, 35.
All right. So that motion has been approved. The next item on our agenda is actually the Public Works meeting where they worked on a referral from Representative Katowski on the comparative cost of paving. Representative Katowski, is there anyone from Public Works who would like to speak to that or has the minutes that they can read into the record? Representative Katowski, did you say you wanted to talk to that?
Yes, I really would. Thank you so much. I don't know what happened to Susan, but I really appreciated the meeting that she had, and I have to thank Representative Merritt, Wells, and Casper for their expertise. They know so much about paving, and I learned so much. But the purpose for my paving referral was to highlight a potential area for savings. And as you all know, there is a paving company within the Public Works Department. And it has been rumored for years that this may not be the most cost-effective way to pave our roads. Recently, in response to the RTM Public Works paving referral, the town manager authorized CCM, Connecticut Council of Municipalities, to research paving versus outsourcing. So we reviewed all that in the committee. And the Public Works Director, responding to the CCM survey, overwhelmingly outsourced their paving projects. Since Groton is already, I learned this, outsourcing the grinding part of the paving function, it seems likely, and in my view, hopeful, that in the future, as the paving equipment ages, Groton will consider outsourcing all paving projects versus replacing this expensive paving equipment. So hopefully with a new director of public works open to cost efficiency and the town manager with experience from other geographic areas, the idea of outsourcing paving will be considered by the town. In my view, and of course it's an opinion, private companies do things cheaper than anything the town can do. So hopefully moving forward, as the equipment ages, we won't replace it and we'll start to hire outside contractors. But I really, Representative Merritt, Wells, and Casper were like a wealth of knowledge, and I understand why they're on that committee. Thank you.
Simma, this is John. Could I say something?
Please.
Sure. Hold on a sec. Okay. The same people who do the paving, they only pave about 15 days a year. They also do all the drain work and the plowing and everything. So even if you contract out, you're actually not going to get rid of people. The only way it would make sense to look at is if you if the large equipment breaks and you do a cost analysis there, whether it's worth continuing on. But just want to make it clear, you would not save actual bodies.
Thank you, Mr. Burt. Is there any other questions? We're going to have to defer discussion of those minutes and that meeting until the next meeting. So let's move on. The next item on our agenda is budget discussions. Is there any discussion there? Representative Flax, I'll unmute you. Oops.
Thank
There
you.
go.
So I just wanted to bring up that the committee meetings and budgets that went on last Saturday, I think went exceptionally well. And I give credit to everybody involved in the town, to the RTM, to everybody for how smoothly it went. And I think the outcome of the day was that the committees approved all of the town council numbers, and the only number that didn't get that wasn't positively voted on was the bridge number, but it wasn't changed. They didn't agree. I think it just went. It just didn't get approved, I believe, but they didn't change it. And so with the April 11th budget meeting on the horizon for Saturday, and the potential of the entire body of the RTM on a meeting to do a line by line, a department by department hearing and budget meeting. It was brought up in the Republican caucus that possibly the RTM would want to consider moving just the one number, the entire budget, or the entire number less the bridge number, in case that wanted to be discussed fully, but trying to avoid the meeting on Saturday where there's, we go by every department and every item and vote and put numbers up and vote for them. And the only reason we're throwing it out there is because the committees approved all of the council numbers. Does that makes sense? That's what we wanted to propose or talk about for Saturday.
Thank you, Representative Flax. Is there any discussion on this idea? The idea, as I understand it, is moving one number and possibly carving out a discussion for the North Stonington Bridge. Representative Wells, followed by Representative Whitehouse. I'll let you guys unmute yourself, or here, hang on. Representative Wells?
I've got it. I found the button. Yes, I wholeheartedly support Representative Flack's proposal, and I would have proposed it myself had he not done that. And as far as the bridge, I bear some responsibility for that because I proposed funding the full bridge, which is something of a fool's errand. And everybody, and so we ended up with a no recommendation. I believe it was a no recommendation on the repair on the bridge. And the council has done really an overly enthusiastic job of cutting the budget amounts. And it takes a 2/3 vote to override those numbers. And I don't think we're going to be able to do that. And so all we're sitting there is looking at cutting 10, 20,000 here and there. And we don't have the usual leisurely discussions and input. I'm in favor of voting the council number and not worrying too much about the bridge, because there was really no recommendation from the committee. Thank you.
Take off the headset.
I don't know where Sim is, but she said I was next, so I'm just going to go ahead, if that's okay. So I think there's definitely some merit in the concept, but our purpose, whether we're doing it from home or doing it from the senior center, is to rigorously debate and discuss the areas of the budget that should be discussed. Even if the number comes out the same, the conversation's important. But I think there's also a good chunk of the budget that we could probably that's not really necessarily worth discussing. And one concept that came to mind is the consent agenda concept, which I believe the town council uses. I know the the EDC uses, which would be that you have everything, unless somebody says, I want to talk about that budget item, that all gets lumped in together. And so what we might consider is putting it out, putting out ahead of time that, asking each representative or asking all the representatives, are there particular budget items you'd like to speak to? And if not, they'll all be lumped. What's left that nobody mentions will be lumped together, because I suspect probably at least a third, maybe half the budget, people look at and say, yep, that looks good. For example, the education budget, I believe, is already at MDR. So there's not much to talk about. We're not going to raise it. We can't lower it. So we don't need to talk about it, because to some degree, we end up with a little bit of, I don't want to say grandstanding, but, people just feel the need to be heard because the topic's there and it's important. But if we can kind of group those things together that are kind of foregone conclusions, there's not much to do with them, I think we can save a lot of time if we can somehow choose those categories which don't need much discussion, so we can just focus on the ones that do need some attention.
Representative Thomas?
Yeah, I just wanted to voice my support for Representative Flax and Wells on this. I think as tonight is evidence of that we do, this forum is a challenge. So anything we do to expedite the process, I think in this year alone is definitely worth considering. I'm usually all for debate and discussion, but at this point, given the whole context of the situation, I think we got to be prudent with our time. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Stevenson?
How do you wave?
Yeah, I'd just like to also voice support for this. I don't think anyone here wants to shirk their duty, and I think everyone here, by having run for office and being elected, understands the importance of the RTM, but these are not normal times. These are extra ordinary times, and it's not like we are not doing our decent diligence. We did the committee meetings, and I think those did go pretty well. We are talking about multiplying the number of people in that by fivefold, and look at how long it takes us to do just one simple motion. It takes so much longer, and as it's been pointed out, from a body perspective, the difficulty with which it is to raise a number when most of the numbers have already been cut it would be a very tedious process. So I think we should definitely move forward with fast tracking whatever the committees agreed to, and go from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Powers, Christian, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. It's Sean Powers.
Oh, sorry, Sean.
That's okay. No problem. I know that we have our budget summary sheets, and I think there's a lot of numbers that are on this sheet that are similar to what the town council's numbers are and what the manager's numbers are. And I think that we could expedite the process. And I think that, Representative Flack's idea is good. I'm not sure I want to move the entire number with just one vote. And I think if we go through this with some diligence, we're going to find that we're not going up on the manager's number. We don't have that ability. All we can do is add into the ones that we've been subtracted out of. And if we concentrate on that, we can probably expedite what we're doing here. So I definitely think that there's a way of doing this and doing our due diligence by simply, if we have questions about things that we want to put back into the budget, that we raise those questions with the directors of these functions. We have a small discussion about it. You can limit it to the number of minutes, or however you want to do it, Sima, because you are our moderator. And I think that it can go relatively quickly, and we can expedite this process and have a budget. But my tally is we cut $6,876,157 from our budget. So, if we're going to do much, we're going to add something possibly back into it. I don't see us not being able to expedite this in a very efficient manner.
So Representative Powers, are you saying you'd like to go line by line item? I wasn't quite clear.
Yeah, I think if we look at what we have here, we can go through all of it relatively quickly. We have the console number. Like if we were to look at our budget summary, and we were to go 101, 103, 105, 106, the numbers from the manager, the council, and us are pretty much, we can't go up on the count on the manager's number, correct?
We can, oh, not on the managers. We can go up on the town council number with a 2/3 majority.
Correct. And what I'm seeing on my sheet, my spreadsheet here, is that there's a whole bunch of categories here that we can just go directly vote each category because we can't go up on the manager's number. We can only go down on it. And if we have questions about reducing, say, the legislative policy at $39,200, we write our questions to the directors of those departments, get our answers, and decide whether we want to increase it or decrease it.
Okay.
I mean, we can't increase it past the number that's on our sheet.
No, but I think the issue is maybe you're in the mode of increasing, other people are in the mode of decreasing. I think this is a way of expediting. So I thank you for your opinion. Representative Adams?
I tend to agree with Representative Flax and Representative Wells. I feel that the council has done a marvelous job of going over the budget, and I really don't think that there's too much more that we can do to it. The council has already set a tentative mill rate, and it's very minuscule. I realize in this times that we're in, it's not the greatest thing to have the mill rate go up again, but time is also of the essence, and the particular forum that we are working under leaves a little bit to be desired, and it would behoove us all to just go ahead and move everything. So I support.
Thank you. Representative Castieri?
Hi, thank you, Madam Moderator. I understand we're trying to expedite the process, but I think we have received enough correspondence about the North Stonington Bridge to at least discuss and debate it for the residents of our town.
And I think, not to put words in Representative Flax's mouth, but I think he was suggesting having a discussion on that. It was the other accounts that might be moved as a whole. Representative Foster?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I think that this has been really challenging, as has been said, but I also support what Representative Flax has proposed. I also think that the town manager and all the directors have handled this very well, and a lot of members of this body sat through the entire Saturday meeting that the town council discussed all these items. So, and again, we sat through the committee. So I'd like to also support what Rep. Flax has proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Casper?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'll probably be the only lone dissenter here, but I can agree that we could lump all those accounts together that we change, that we just have to accept, and they're there as part of the budget, but we have no control over. We can lump all those together, but I think all the others, we should have a discussion. Just because it went through committee unscathed doesn't mean that the whole of the RTM necessarily agreed with it. And I think there's some people, and we're supposed to reflect the residents of the town. And I think that some residents of the town believe there are cuts to be made. Other residents think, well, perhaps some money should be put back. So I think we should do our job. We're not in a dire circumstance yet. I mean, we're still relatively unscathed in Groton, and I think we should proceed as we should.
Thank you. Representative Frickman?
Yeah, I agree with Representative Flax.
I think the committees have done a great job already discussing all these things. I think the town council has done a good job with already addressing all of this. So I think in order to expedite this and moving that one number with the bridge aside, I'm in full agreement with.
Thank you. Representative Jones?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I also support Representative Flax. I just have a question on the bridge vote. I don't quite understand how it was done, just being new to this where people vote and then a vote is a no vote. But just if somebody can just explain what the two numbers were and how it was voted.
Sure, I'm happy to try. So there were two votes. The first one was for the 25,000 that the town council had moved forward, and I believe there were 6 people who were voting on this, and so a simple majority would be 4. And there were 3 in favor, I believe 2 opposed, and 1 abstaining. And so that basically has only 3 in favor rather than 4.
So if you have a balanced vote like that, does it go to 0 or does it stay at the 25,000?
It doesn't do anything. We had, then the next one was, actually the first one was for the full amount, which was 1.23 million. I'm sorry, I don't have my budget book open. It was for the full amount, and that one, they both went similarly, where they didn't have a simple majority in favor of either number. So basically, it would just, when we would meet, what would happen is that the committee didn't come to any agreement on the 2 motions that they put forward. They both failed, so that we would just revert to the town council number to begin the discussion. And then additional motions could be put on the floor by RTM members, and we would have a discussion on those, and we could vote on any of those numbers. Let me just clarify, since the town council made a motion of 25,000, it would take a 2/3 majority to go beyond that 25,000.
Okay, so because no decision was made, it just goes to, okay. So it just goes to the 25,000 originally, or no? So it just has so nothing happens, right? So it just there's no recommendation for anything, so it just doesn't do anything. Is that, I guess, the result?
So the recommendation from the committee was they did not come to a number. So when the full RTM starts our discussion, the motion would be put forth for the town council number. Does that make sense? The committee is just making a recommendation to the RTM. They did not have a recommendation. They could not come to a consensus on that.
Okay, so there is no.
The RTM, the number is the town council number. That's where we would start with. That's where you always start with as the committee level. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So Representative Mello Miller.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I am in favor of going over the entire budget, and this is why. Groton is in a unique position of one of only a few towns left in New England who have this system of government in place. RTM is a or the Groton government is a system of checks and balances, with the RTM being designed to look further into budgets and anything financial, whereas the town council is the legislative branch. That being said, we owe it to our constituents, we owe it to the town to do our duty as elected representatives, just as town council did. Now, town council has a smaller number, but they too sat through meetings. Now, we are not in any rush to do these meetings in one day. We can take a little bit more time. It is not so necessary to finish it in one day, but I feel like we need to represent our districts in going over the budget. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Representative Mello Miller. Representative Gauthier? Lauren.
Yes, I'd like to voice my support of Representative Flax's plan. You know, I understand the concerns about this being very important for us to go in depth on. However, I consider the RTM very much a team effort where, you know, we delegate these numbers out to the committees to rigorously look at, to ask the questions, to lend their own personal expertise, which is why they're on specific committees. I just think that, and then, you know, they go back, they make recommendations to the full RTM. The RTM has 2 different caucuses to direct strategy. I just think that between the public hearing that the town council had, the committee meetings, and all of the time available in between there, that RTM members would have had plenty of time to listen to the very salient questions that have already been asked, the very thorough questions that have, or the very thorough answers provided. And I believe Representative Flax's plan wouldn't preclude any other accounts besides the Stonington Bridge being pulled out if the caucuses come out and say, we want, you know, this account or this account to also be looked at. But I think in bulk, we can move most of this budget in a very responsible way. I mean, I think these numbers have been well vetted, so to speak.
Representative Whitney? Sorry.
Yes, thank you. I want to know what latitude we have for dealing with the committee report, because, you know, that's one function that we need to accomplish at the budget meeting is approve the minutes of the committee. Traditionally, we read these out. They take a while to do, and then it's put up by motion. We stop and we vote. But I couldn't tell from the rules clearly if we really do need to read those in, or we can just vote to accept minutes.
I would think we'd need to read the minutes for each committee to get those in the records for their recommendation. That would probably be a minimum. Beyond that, we could, you know, maybe, I don't know. I think that there would have to be a motion made at that point to see what the next step was. Representative Chase?
Okay, just follow up. If we have to read them in,
sure.
If we have to read the committee minutes in, it kind of breaks us into each budget item anyway.
Town Clerk Mercausher, would you like to respond to this idea of if we have to read the minutes in? I see your hand is up anyway.
Certainly, I can put it down, but honestly, the minutes really refresh everyone's mind as to how things were discussed in the committee. Not everyone was able to listen to the committee, although the recordings are available on GMTV if anyone wants to listen to the committee meeting from last Saturday. But I also agree with moderator that it's a good idea to read the minutes. They're not terribly lengthy. They're actually, and I will be mailing those out tomorrow along with the budget worksheets. Last thing I'd like to say is if the RTM considers voting in blocks like that's been discussed, remember that if you're going to pull out anything, especially the North Stonington Bridge, that is $1 million addition to the budget. So keep that in mind.
Thank you. Representative Chase?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. In my daily job, I provide money to other agencies through grants. And we did that one year where the board voted as a whole, the bottom line number, and it was a disaster. And that's way smaller than what this is. This alternative process was set up the same way the town council was set up to go through the budget. I don't think that we should deviate from that just because it's a challenge. And I would think that some RTM members were not able to watch the entire council deliberations for the budgets for each department. And I think this would give, we have so many new people on the RTM, this would give them the opportunity to go through the budget the way it's supposed to be gone through. And I do agree with a lot of things, with all the things that Representative Miller said. It's the RTM's due diligence to go through the budget. Whether we change it or not, we should go through it and discuss it. And maybe there's an RTM member out there that did not go to a committee meeting or send in a question, and now they have questions or other ideas. And I do agree that the committees did a fabulous job. I watched all of them, and I watched all of the town council for the 12 hours, and they all did a great job. And I think just because it's a challenge doing it on Zoom, I don't think we should give up our process. Thank you.
Representative Osman.
I want to echo what, thank you, Madam Moderator. I want to echo what Representative Bruce Flax had said too. I'm in agreement with him to move this forward. I think, you know, the bridge is something that we need to maybe just table for now and readdress because that sounds like it's something that's going to be very important. And it's something that we definitely need to stay focused on. So I just want to add my 2 cents into that. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this point, Representative Katowski, I know you're not able to raise your hand. Did you want to speak to this?
Yes, thank you. I'm not a moderator.
We can't really hear you. Talk right into your phone, please.
Oh, thank you. I would also like to support if the suggestion to move the town council budget in one number for a couple of reasons. It takes a 2/3 vote to undo anything that's been done. And if you check out Charter Language 9.4, duties of the RTM on the budget, it is silent on this whole notion of we have to review every account, have to listen to every minute. And I just think this is so difficult, and with 41 people on the phone. And also it would save staff time. And as you know, the finance committee meeting that you ran was much easier than this meeting. I mean, it's very difficult being on the phone in these meetings and being able to feel like you're a full participant. So I really support this. I think that the committees did a good job. I really think if we go through line by line by line, we're going to end up in the same place that we are. And if everyone could just please read section 9.4, you'll see that this is not addressed. It's past practice what we're talking about. And past practice is something that we do it because it's past practice, not because it's in the charter. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Colon.
Yes.
I believe, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say first that I did have to step away due to an emergency for a couple of minutes. However, I'm back. The one thing that I did want to state is that I see Bruce Flax's point on just approving it and going back to that North Stonington Bridge. However, due to new members like me who haven't really been through this process, I think it's nice that we go through it at least a little bit. I mean, even if we could just go through, like, I know something that I had heard Representative Russ say at some point about going through and just going through the ones that we, like the Groton, what was it? The Groton Long Point, going through their budget, going through some of the ones specifically that we wanted to go and dive into, that there was some resistance in. So I think that would be a nice thing for us to do. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you. Representative Luck?
I wasn't expecting so soon. A suggestion perhaps that instead of moving one number is to move a number for each committee.
Yeah, that would probably work. I think what we're going to have to do is have a motion and see if it carries on Saturday. So I think we're not going to take a vote on this now, I don't think, because there's no motion on the floor, unless someone would like to make a motion at this point. Town Clerk Makowsha, did you want to say something? Your hand is still raised.
I can't get it to go down. Maybe you can put it down for me.
I did. There you go. So we have some folks who have already spoken. You know, we do have one more item on our agenda. We can have a second go at this if you feel this is a useful way to spend our time, but we do have to probably have a vote to suspend the rules in order to accept the Board of Ed grant. So Representative Wells, Casper, Thomas, and Flax, you know, I'll leave it up to you. Representative Wells, you were on first, and I'm recognizing you if you want to speak.
Oops, there we go. The last time the bridge was on the agenda, the council zeroed the money for the bridge. North Stonington fully funded their share of the bridge, and I gave a long, my history will absolve me speech, and the RTM voted one short of a simple majority to fully fund the bridge. That's with Stonington already participating. We don't have Stonington this time, and it would have taken it takes a 2/3 vote to override the council. So as much as I would love to talk about the bridge, and I don't think there's a snowball's chance that we will get 2/3 vote. Thank you.
Representative, thank you. Representative Casper?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just want to point out on the reading of the minutes, typically we don't read all the minutes for a given committee at one time, but just read that portion for the item that's up for vote. And then,
well, I think, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's fine. I just wanted to make that point that we don't read all the minutes all at once. We just read that portion for the item that's up for consideration.
So that's actually a decision that I've made. We've actually done it both ways, and the idea is to be most efficient. So if we were thinking of moving all the items in one committee, we could certainly read all the minutes, vote on those minutes, and then have a motion to accept, kind of stack all those accounts up and move do it en masse, like you would with a suite of candidates if you were doing a slate of candidates rather. So it's certainly an option. Representative Thomas?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. With all due respect, the whole process here, I think maybe we should have a vote tonight to figure out what we're doing with the budget as far as like on Saturday, just so we can know what we need to plan for that day. So I don't know if anyone's willing to make a motion who can articulate it better than I can as far as like what it would look like, but if not, then I'd make a motion. Thank you.
Are you making a motion, Representative Thomas?
Yes, I'll make a motion to vote on the budget plan, or to figure out what we're doing with the numbers.
Second.
Sorry, that motion is unformed. It needs to be a little more specific. I don't know what we'd be voting on. Can you try to, are we voting on to move one number on Saturday? Is that what your motion is?
I'd like to make a motion to move as suggested by Representative Flax, the whole number with the North Stonington Bridge cut out for discussion on the side.
Second.
Who was the second on that?
Representative Osman.
Bailey has a question.
So that's fine. I haven't opened it up for discussion yet. So we have a motion on the floor put up by Representative Thomas, seconded by Representative Osman, to accept the proposal as put forth by Representative Flax to put forth one number for a vote on Saturday morning minus the North Stonington Bridge. Is there any discussion on that? Is Representative Bailey, did you want to discuss that?
Yes, just quickly. Do we have to suspend the rules for this?
For this, we have a budget item on our agenda, so I don't think so. No, we will have to suspend the rules for the Board of Ed grant that we need to accept.
I was just saying for this item that we're voting on, wouldn't we have to suspend rules or no?
I don't think so. Town Clerk, do we have to suspend rules to have this motion? It's an agenda item.
No, you have a budget discussion, and this is definitely in route of your budget discussion. Although you haven't gotten to other business yet. You're still in budget discussion, so
Yeah.
other business you're going to do the Board of Ed.
Yeah, thank you for reminding us. Representative Gauthier?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'd like to make a friendly amendment to the motion to allow for other accounts as decided at the beginning of the meeting to also be discussed in addition to the standing.
Second by Thomas.
So there's been Thomas, you would be accepting that as the maker of the motion. So it sounds like you accept it. Does the second accept that?
Yes, correct.
What was the motion?
What? It was an amendment to a motion.
What was the amendment?
It was
The
a
amendment.
amendment to allow other accounts to also be pulled out at the beginning of next meeting prior to the full vote on the town council recommendation.
And I support that idea.
That's been accepted by the maker of that motion and the seconder of the motion. So we have an amended motion on the floor for discussion. Representative Whitehouse?
Yeah, hold on. So as I understand with that friendly amendment, what will the mechanism be for choosing what comes out onto the floor?
I don't know the answer to that. I have to be honest. Representative Gauthier, did you have a process in mind?
At the beginning of the meeting, I suppose yourself would ask members for any specific accounts, and then we could either all agree on whether or not we want to hear those accounts laid out individually or not. And then once that set of accounts is decided upon, we move for the town council recommended numbers, and then we go into each individual account.
From my point of view, in my mind, I don't understand how this motion that we're acting on tonight differs from a motion we would make on Saturday morning.
Can I say something?
There's a list of people, but I'll put you down.
Thank you.
Sorry.
But yes, so basically what we're doing is we're making a motion to set the agenda for Saturday. And so if this passes, then we'll have something on the agenda to vote on, which will be all those items that we decide will go into the basket to go together. I know one concern. So actually getting some messages from some constituents who are watching this live, who are concerned that the purpose of the RTM, like we fought to save the RTM, and would this be nullifying that effort? And I was one of those who fought hard on the no campaign to save the RTM, but I don't think we're necessarily setting a precedent because we do have a unique circumstance. I do think I'm loosely in favor of going line by line, but I think even if this does pass, we do pass it as a group or as a bunch. This is a very exceptional circumstance. So I'm not too worried about setting some kind of precedent where people say, oh, we don't need the RTM. Because one thing to consider is part of the purpose of the RTM is that we are in the back of the minds of the Board of Ed and the town council and the town manager and everyone before us in the process thinking, what will the RTM think about this? And so that's already been kind of factored in, which I think is also why we don't why we don't have a large, because a lot of people said, well, the RTM only changes the budget by 1% or 1.5%. but that's because our thoughts are considered in the earlier stages in the process. So, and I think that still happens, and that's probably why the committees went through and said, this all looks pretty good, because again, it was looked at with 40-something members of the community are going to be looking at this after us. Let's make sure it's not going to be changed dramatically, and let's kind of try to anticipate their thoughts on it. So I think if we were to pass as a group, it would not be the worst thing in the world.
Okay.
I'm personally against the idea, but I don't think it's an awful idea, as long as we have a clear process of how we're doing it.
Thank you. I'm going to try to limit talk at this point. We have still have a motion to suspend the rules to go over a Board of Ed grant acceptance, and there's about 10 people who have their hands raised at this point. And I'm willing to go through this list, but to my mind, the motion as it stands seems like a motion that will have to be made on Saturday morning anyway. So I'm failing to understand the need to have this motion right now and this debate right now. Representative Casper?
He already spoke.
This is a motion that he has not spoken on.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I would think at a minimum, we would consider by committee.
Okay.
So I would propose then an amendment to the amended motion.
This is like a Dr. Seuss book at this point. Sorry. All right. What is your amendment, Representative Casper?
My amendment would be to consider by committee.
I'll second that, Luck.
I don't know who seconded. You got to say your name because it's Luck. Sorry. So that is an amendment. Representative Thomas, do you accept that amendment to go through by committee?
I accept that. Yes.
Representative, I can't even remember who seconded it. Was it Foster? No, Osman. Do you accept that amendment?
Yeah. Yes, Madam Moderator.
Thank you. All right. So we have an amended motion to basically go through committee by committee and move the contents of each committee as a single number, if I understand Representative Casper's amendment. Is that correct, Representative Casper?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. All right. So we have this amended motion on the floor, and Representative Whitney?
He already spoke.
Not on the motion.
You didn't speak, yeah, keeping a list.
So everybody can speak again.
Representative Whitney?
Yep. So we have a standing rules and procedures committee. It seems like we're discussing procedures here. And ordinarily, it seems like that would be something we would refer to the committee. So I kind of think like we should be suspending the rules to even talk about this.
This is a budget item. We've already had the town clerk rule on it, but thank you. Representative Foster? Oh, Washington, excuse me, Washington.
I was going to speak on thank you, Madam Moderator. I was going to speak on Bruce Flax's idea that I could almost go along with his idea, but there has to be a mechanism for people who want to speak about certain budget items to bring that forth so the whole RTM can discuss that. So to talk about one number as a whole, there has to be ways. So say I want to talk about video surveillance. There has to be a way for me to bring that forward and have the RTM talk about that item. But otherwise, I could go along with Bruce Flax's idea, and I like this idea by Representative Casper. Do it by committee.
Yes, that's the motion on the floor right now.
I know, but by the time you came to me, the motion changed.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. Representative Foster?
I'm sorry, Madam Moderator, I put my hand down.
Great.
Okay.
Representative, sir.
What about the people on the phone?
I have you written down, but there is a huge list here. Sorry. Representative Chase?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm not sure of Representative Gardner's, the first amendment to allow accounts to be pulled out. I don't know what she means by that. So I can't vote intelligently on that.
Well, I believe the motion is to move, the committee number as a whole. I don't really know how that works either. I really think this needs to be reduced to writing before we can have a vote on it. And I would suggest that we defer this vote to Saturday morning, and it would be reduced to writing at that time.
I agree.
Representative DeCillier Fleming?
I'm also hand down.
Representative Frickman?
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quickly that I agreed with the original motion, but then with the 2 additional amendments, it kind of goes back to the regular process we go through. So if we kept it back to the original amendment, I would support that. But pulling this account out and this account out would be just like going back and spending the whole time doing the whole process over again. So unless it's the original amendment, it's all moot, in my opinion.
All right, Representative Katowski?
I agree with Representative Frickman because if you're on the phone, this is impossible, okay? And the original motion is the motion that I support just because of the charter language, but pulling out accounts, it's an all or nothing. You can't be selective on what accounts you pull out. I mean, if you're going to go on the town council number, you have to go on the town council number. You cannot pull out selective accounts. And I think that one of the things that maybe the town should consider, if you're offering Zoom to phone people on the phone, it has to be more efficient. This just doesn't work. So I don't know. I know that's not your fault. It's no one's fault. But if you're going to be a participant, you have to be able to participate. And you can't really participate on the phone with this. Thank you.
Thank you. I do think that that we need to have this reduced to writing. So I'm going to ask this to be reduced, and I think it will, unless it can be done in a timely manner tonight, I think we'll have to postpone this vote until Saturday. Representative Gauthier, you made that motion, or you made actually the First Amendment, I guess. Did you want to speak to this?
I was just going to say that I think we've discussed this enough, and I agree with you, Madam Moderator, that we should put this off till Saturday. I understand that members wanted to have an idea of how we were going to format the meeting, but I think at this point, it's better just to wait until Saturday morning to have a more brief discussion about this, and hopefully we can talk within our caucuses to develop strategies to streamline this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Representative Flax?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I know you want to wrap this up, and the point was made was not to belittle the process or to say that we're trying to, sweep the RTM or whatever. I think that these times that we're in right now are unique, and we're at a, in terms of spending in the town council did some substantial cuts to the budget that the committees all agreed on. And I would never suggest this as a yearly way to go about the budget process, but looking at it as a way to keep the spirit of what's happening, in the town and the state at a level that is manageable. And we've been talking about this for about 45 minutes or so, and haven't come to a conclusion. And I understand it coming to Saturday. So hopefully we can have something in writing for Saturday that we can get through relatively quickly so we can get the meeting going on Saturday. Thank you.
Would it be possible to postpone the discussion on this motion till Saturday morning? You could have a motion to that effect.
So moved. Representative Rusk.
Seconded.
Representative Rusk.
Representative Gauthier.
Thank you. So we have a motion. What was the question?
Are we tabling?
No, this.
This is postponing. This is a motion to postpone the motion on the floor until Saturday morning.
Just reminding
Is
you
that the
that it's not
town clerk?
debatable. Yes, I'm just reminding you it's not debatable.
If it's a
Well, my
postponement,
book says it is. It
yeah,
is
it's
debatable.
postponement,
I'm
it is.
sorry, for tabling you, it's not debatable. For postponement, it
For
is.
postponing is.
Yep,
It
sorry
is
about that.
debatable.
Yep, I just-
Representative Casper, did you want to speak to this motion that's on the floor?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Yes, I just wanted I just wanted to offer a suggestion that if the rules process committee people would like to meet, between now and Saturday, good to refer, put it to them.
Okay. Are you asking for a referral to be made to the Rules Committee? I don't know if there's actually time to properly notice that committee meeting, but maybe there is. It's not, it's like 3 days, 2 days. Representative Rusk?
Yes, thank you. I think Representative Gauthier hit it on the nail on the head. We can discuss this in caucus. We can come back Saturday morning and we can make a decision by that point. Perhaps Representative Mello Miller and Representative Flax can discuss this after caucus and try to come up with a consensus of what both parties want. And hopefully we can expedite this discussion on Saturday morning and move on.
Thank you. And I'm going to say I'm not going to refer this to the Rules Committee. We are not desiring to change the rules of our body to accommodate this one-time change, which is due to a global pandemic. So I think this is something that the body can move on itself. It's within our purview to make this motion. So I don't think that referring this to rules is appropriate or expedient because I do not think we want to change rules to or our procedures to in any type of permanent sense. Representative Katowski, I saw a little light flash on. Did you want to speak to this?
No, I just want to
motion?
let you know I need to get off now. So I will see everybody on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to postpone the discussion on the motion made by Representative Thomas, amended by Representative Gauthier, and amended again by Representative Casper. All in favor of postponing the discussion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes. We're going to postpone that discussion. Thank you. The next thing on our agenda, as I mentioned at the start of this, is account that I just received on Monday, and it's a resolution authorizing the superintendent of schools to execute the contract between the Connecticut Council for Philanthropy and Groton Public Schools to receive grant funding in the amount of $20,600 and refer the matter to the RTM. This is item 2020-175, Children First Groton Collaborative Grant. And I just want to say that this is, that we're considering this in response to a request by Representative Katowski to have oversight over grants that are received by the Board of Ed, as we do with the Town Council as per the charter. So this is kind of one of our first trials of this new process. So I will need a motion to suspend the rules in order to discuss this. And that is,
So moved.
thank you. So I heard a motion to suspend the rules by Representative Flax, seconded by Representative Cologne, and that is not debatable. And it does take a 2/3 majority. So all in favor of suspending the rules, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you very much for making that motion. So we can move on. I'd like to see if Miss Austin is still on the phone and might speak to this, because I don't know much about this, I have to be honest.
I'd be happy to. Good evening,
Thank you.
everyone. I also have with me tonight two colleagues, Nadine Macklin, who is one of our special ed coordinators who oversees early childhood, works closely with Groton Children First in school readiness, so that we really are a cohesive group, looking at our youngest learners and, you know, from infancy to age 8. And then also with me is Linda Allen, who is our liaison officer through Learn, who also works with Children First Groton. I don't believe Sue Carice is here, who is really their co-president. And I don't know if Representative Melendez, who's been named to oversee the School Readiness Council, is here. But that group actually came together with many other community members from Parks and Rec, our town, our city, Board of Ed, our early childhood partners in the School Readiness Grant, which we receive every year. And we, Groton Public Schools, are really a pass-through. We are the fiduciary to the School Readiness Grant, which is about $500,000 that goes to Riverfront and TVCCA. And I know that Nadine and Linda both have, you know, even more information than I do, but this came to us. Linda had seen this, and it's a grant that is really a collaborative town-wide grant. So all of the people that came together saw that there was a need to help support Children First Groton and School Readiness Council, who had gotten a Graustein donation years ago, but that no longer exists. So it's really a kind of working grant to help support them with outreach to the community, computers, materials. They need a space to go. So I think the town is helping them locate a space. Right now, it's pretty much distance collaboration, as we all are doing. But I'm really proud of this one. This is a really good one to go through this process, because this is a collaborative grant to strengthen local early childhood. And the reason we really were interested in this grant was not only to help put Children First Groton and School Readiness a little better on their feet, but it also opens the door for future early childhood grants that could help with school readiness, that could provide more seats for our youngest learners in Groton. So to me, this is a win-win, a really good thing for our community, for our children, for our families. And we want to have voices from all over this town. So part of this initiative is to hear from our constituents, and RTM is a model of that, from, you know, every district in town, so that families can raise their voices and we can help support them in the ways that we, you know, we're able to. So that's just the overview of the thing. And if you have any questions, Nadine and Linda are here and can give you some more information.
Thank you so much, Ms. Austin. That's terrific. Representative Gauthier, do you have your hand up from the past or a present comment you wish to make?
Sorry about that.
Okay,
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Is there any questions for Ms. Austin? Representative Foster?
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. I think the reason that Representative Katowski asked for this to come to the RTM is the potential for this requiring additional funding, any grants requiring additional funding in future budgets. So that's the only question I have. Will there be any funding following after the grant is completed? Thank you.
No, this really is a competitive grant that basically gives us footing, gives some resources to this small working group of a lot of volunteers, to tell you the truth. and, you know, really to help provide so many things for our young learners. They have done in the past a Go Pass, where in the summertime, families are able to participate in getting to know the community, and there's prizes and awards given. They've done a prescription to read, where local pediatricians have handed out books when families have a newborn. We've talked about growing that program to do prescription to read in our school-based health centers when families come in for checkups, so that we can grow that, you know, that encouragement for reading. So it's really a working group that meets every month. I don't know if Linda Allen wants to say anything, or Nadine Macklin, but it's really a terrific thing we have in Groton. I'm really proud to serve on that committee.
Thank you, Susan. Hi, this is Nadine Macklin, and piggybacking off of what Susan just said, you know, this grant is really giving the collaborative of CFG and the School Readiness Council an opportunity to really widen its net in terms of, you know, just providing the opportunity for more community partners to be at the table. We have a leadership group, we have an education work group, we have 5 neighborhood groups, we have a mental health committee. We also have a safe and strong families committee, physical health committee. So we really want to use these funds to ensure that we are reaching the community at large, to continue to expand the work, the great work that has been done, but we want to continue to do.
Thank you. Any other questions? So we are going to need a motion on the floor to accept for item number 2020-175, Children First Groton Collaborative Grant, the resolution authorizing the superintendent of schools to execute this contract between the Connecticut Council for Philanthropy and Groton Public Schools to receive grant funding in the amount of $20,600. So that's the motion.
Second.
All right, I heard two was that Representative Flax and Representative Bailey as a motion? Did you make that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, and I heard Representative Bailey make a second.
Yes.
Sorry, there were a number of voices. So we have this motion on the floor. We've kind of already had a bit of discussion, but is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, I would say that we do have the motion, item 2020-175, Children First Groton Collaborative Grant, which is allowing the Board of Ed to accept the amount to receive grant funding in the amount of $20,600. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, seems that that motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate this.
Okay, and congratulations. I guess I should have said that right at the start, so thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
It's exciting. Bye.
Yeah, it is. It's a community effort.
That's good. I'm glad. We'll like to see the results of it, hopefully.
We'd love to share.
Yeah, come back and report in a year whenever it ends.
It actually ends in June. It's with 20,000 we have to spend from now till June, believe it or not.
Okay.
But if something else comes our way, it will be definitely worth it. Something that would give kids more preschool seats. We would love that.
Yeah.
So.
Representative Adams?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Gauthier.
Second.
I heard a second from Representative Bailey. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, this meeting is adjourned. I don't get to pound the little gavel, but thank you guys so much for hanging in there. It's good practice for Saturday. So I just,